जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम स्टूडेंट्स। आई होप आप सबको मेरी आवाज़ आ रही है। वेलकम टू टुडेज़ लेक्चर। बिफोर वी बिगिन द लेक्चर, मैंने आपके क्विज़ 1 और असाइनमेंट चेक करके उसके मार्क्स डाल दिए थे, कल परसों की बात है। तो द मार्क्स आर आल्सो पुट ऑन द एलएमएस। आंसर कीज़ भी मैं डाल दूँगा क्विज़ 1 की और असाइनमेंट 1 की, ठीक है, फॉर योर बेनिफिट। ठीक है, अच्छा जी, आज का लेक्चर शुरू करते हैं। ठीक है, वी आर गोइंग टू ब्रीफली कंप्लीट द लास्ट टू टॉपिक्स रादर। ठीक है, एक हमने एफिशिएंसी ऑफ द ट्रांसफार्मर नहीं कर पाए थे क्योंकि पिछली क्लास में मैं ठीक है, असदुल्ला, मैं आपसे करता हूँ बाद में बात। ठीक है, मुझे पता है आपका क्या इशू था। आई विल डिस्कस दिस विद यू लेटर ऑन व्हाट्सएप। ठीक है, तो क्लास का टाइम नहीं वेस्ट करते, लेट्स गो एंड सी अबाउट द एफिशिएंसी ऑफ द ट्रांसफार्मर। ठीक है, जो हम लास्ट सवाल कर रहे थे उसी को ही कंटिन्यू करेंगे। लेट मी ओपन द बुक फॉर यू ताकि हमें डेटा रिवाइज हो जाए कि क्या था उसका डेटा। जस्ट होल्ड ऑन। ठीक है, मेरे ख्याल से 2-5 हम कर रहे थे। -5, let me open it. -10 आ गया। 5 के बाद से 40। ठीक है जनाब, इसको मैं शेयर करा देता हूँ। शेयर स्क्रीन। ठीक है, अब आपको ये सवाल नजर आ रहा होगा होपफुली। 2-5 जो है ये हम कर रहे थे। 15 केवीए का ट्रांसफार्मर था, ए इसका 10 था, और हमने इसके वोल्टेज रेगुलेशन फाइंड कर ली थी। और इसी से एक मिलता जुलता जो सवाल है वो मैंने आपको प्रैक्टिस में दे दिया था लास्ट क्लास में। ठीक है, वो भी मैं इंशाल्लाह ताला जल्द चेक कर लूंगा। ठीक है, नाउ द लास्ट पार्ट दैट रिमेन्ड वाज कि हमें इसकी एफिशिएंसी फाइंड करनी है इस ट्रांसफार्मर की। व्हाट इज द एफिशिएंसी ऑफ द ट्रांसफार्मर एट फुल लोड विद अ पावर फैक्टर ऑफ 0.8। ठीक है, तो वोल्टेज रेगुलेशन तक हमने कर लिया था। हाउ डू वी फाइंड द एफिशिएंसी ऑफ द ट्रांसफार्मर? ठीक है, फॉर efficiency of the transformer, let's go to the whiteboard. Again we will look at the secondary side equivalent circuit. ठीक है, वोल्टेज रेगुलेशन और एफिशिएंसी के लिए इट्स बेटर ऑलवेज टू यूज द सेकेंडरी साइड इक्विवेलेंट सर्किट। ठीक है, तो ये इसकी हो गई एक्साइटेशन ब्रांच की इक्विवेलेंट रेजिस्टेंस आर सी जे एक्स एम, और ये हो गई इसकी सीरीज इम्पीडेंसेस दोनों तरफ की वाइंडिंग्स की एज रिफ्लेक्टेड ऑन द सेकेंडरी साइड। सो दिस इज आर इक्विवेलेंट एंड दिस इज जे एक्स इक्विवेलेंट। ठीक है, इसको इक्विवेलेंट इसलिए कहा जाता है कि ये प्राइमरी और सेकेंडरी साइड को मिक्स करके बनाया जाता है। ठीक है, प्राइमरी और जब भी हम शॉर्ट सर्किट टेस्ट करते हैं तो पूरे कोर लॉसेज एक साथ फाइंड कर लेते हैं और पूरे वाइंडिंग लॉसेज एक साथ कर लेते हैं। ठीक, तो इस तरह से अगर हमें ये ट्रांसफार्मर का इक्विवेलेंट साइड सर्किट दिया गया है, ठीक है, 15 केवीए है, ए इसका 10 के बराबर था, 2300 बाई 230 वोल्ट्स का था ये ट्रांसफार्मर। ठीक है, और ये इसका सेकेंडरी साइड इक्विवेलेंट सर्किट है, तो कहते हैं वीएस। इसको हम कहते हैं जब रिफ्लेक्ट करके लाते हैं तो ये वीपी ओवर ए बन चुका होता है। ठीक है, और ये बन चुका होता है ए टाइम्स आई पी, और ये वाला बन चुका होता है आई एस। ठीक है, जब हम प्राइमरी साइड से सेकेंडरी की जानिब इम्पीडेंस रिफ्लेक्ट करते हैं तो ए स्क्वायर से डिवाइड करते हैं और वोल्टेज इसको ए से डिवाइड करते हैं, हाँ जी, ए स्क्वायर से नहीं। ठीक है, अब इसके अंदर मुझे जल्दी से ये पैरामीटर्स अगर आप लोग बता पाएं कि क्या थे ये, आर इक्विवेलेंट, जे एक्स इक्विवेलेंट, एस रिफ्लेक्टेड टुवर्ड्स द सेकेंडरी साइड, तो फिर आई विल पॉपुलेट दिस फिगर। ठीक है, दिस इज द सेकेंडरी साइड इक्विवेलेंट सर्किट। ठीक है, और जो अभी टास्क है वो ये है कि मुझे इसकी एफिशिएंसी निकालनी है। ठीक है, एट फुल लोड एंड 0.8 पावर फैक्टर लैगिंग है। ठीक है, गालिबन यही था, फुल लोड पावर फैक्टर 0.8 लैगिंग, बिल्कुल सही है। ठीक है, इसका सेकेंडरी साइड इक्विवेलेंट सर्किट जो है, लेट्स लुक फ्रॉम द बुक। ठीक है, ये प्राइमरी साइड था, सेकेंडरी साइड। ठीक है, पॉइंट 1050 और 110 जे, और ये था 0.04 और ये था 0.06 जे। 0.04 और 0.06, ठीक है जनाब। ठीक है, अब ये कह रहे हैं कि आप मुझे ना इसकी एफिशिएंसी बता दें, तो इसकी एफिशिएंसी के लिए वी लुक एट द सेकेंडरी साइड इक्विवेलेंट सर्किट, और ईटा मुझे निकालना है फुल लोड पे, यानी कि उस वक्त आईएस कितना होना चाहिए। इफ दिस इज अ सिंगल फेज 15 केवीए ट्रांसफार्मर और मैं इसको फुल लोड पे चला रहा हूँ, तो फुल लोड करंट मेरा कितना होगा। आई फुल लोड जो है वो मेरा बराबर होगा 1500 डिवाइडेड बाय सेकेंडरी साइड का वोल्टेज विच इज 230। ठीक है, तो ये हमने पहले भी निकाला था, कुछ अशारिया कुछ कुछ आता है। ठीक है, तो इट विल बी द सेम। ठीक है, इसको अगर कैलकुलेट करें क्या आता है, 65.2 था गालिबन। ठीक है, अगर कुछ और था तो आप वही फिगर यूज कर लेंगे। ठीक है, लेट्स अज्यूम ये 65.2 था, या चेक ही कर लेते हैं बुक से कितना था, मे बी आई एम रॉन्ग। इसका फुल लोड करंट जो है 65.2 थी, बिल्कुल सही। ठीक है, लेकिन अब इसका जो एंगल है वो इसके हिसाब से, ठीक है, 0.8 पावर फैक्टर लैगिंग, जिसके हिसाब से ये मेरे ख्याल से -36 बनता है। आई फुल लोड जो है वो बनता है 65.2 -36। ठीक हो गया। ठीक है, तो मुझे फुल लोड करंट का मैग्नीट्यूड और ये पता चल गया। एफिशिएंसी का मतलब ये है कि इनपुट पावर मैं कितनी दे रहा हूँ और आउटपुट पावर कितनी एक्सट्रैक्ट कर रहा हूँ। ठीक है, अब मुझे आउटपुट पावर तो इसकी पता ही है। ठीक है, इनपुट पावर जो होती है वो होती है आउटपुट पावर प्लस लॉसेस। ठीक है, तो अगर मुझे लॉसेस पता चल जाए, ठीक है, पी आउट इसकी कितनी होगी, पी आउट इसकी होगी जो मैं आउटपुट में से एक्सट्रैक्ट कर रहा हूँ। ठीक है, विच इज जस्ट इक्वल टू 15 kVA multiply by the real power, so it will be cos of -36.86। ठीक है, इसी तरह से पी एन इज इक्वल टू द आउटपुट पावर। ठीक है, cos -36.86 मुझे पता है 0.8 के ही बराबर है, प्लस लॉसेस। ठीक है, अब इसके अंदर लॉसेस खाली कहाँ होते हैं, रेजिस्टेंसेस के अंदर। ठीक है, इंडक्टर और कैपेसिटेंस में कभी भी लॉसेस नहीं होते, ऑल द लॉसेस आर ओनली इन द रेजिस्टर्स। ठीक है, तो जो रेजिस्टर्स के अंदर लॉसेस हैं, ठीक है, सॉरी आई जस्ट नोटिस अब्दुल्लाही इज हियर, सो लेट्स स्विच टू इंग्लिश। So whenever Abdullahi you are here, you can prompt me that I should be using English. Okay, sorry Abdullahi, I didn't notice you were here. So we should be using English. So efficiency is always whatever output you are extracting from your machine and what the input power you are giving to your machine. So the output power in this case is equal to uh, the rating of the transformer, which is 15 kVA. So you want to give your load 15 kVA, but there is always some power factor associated that you can relate this apparent power into the real power. So in this formula for the efficiency, you always use the real power, and the formula for real power is apparent power cos theta. Okay, so we have already done this also in the ENA course. So this is the power triangle. You have the real power, you have the apparent power, and you have the imaginary power. So this one is your reactive power, and this angle is the theta, which is associated with the power factor. So the real power is apparent power times cos of theta. So this cos of theta is already known to us in the form of power factor. It is 0.8. So cos of minus 36 will be nothing but equal to 0.8 only. Now let's come here and look at the losses. What will be the losses? The losses in the core will be in this resistance, and the losses in the winding will be in this resistance. So these losses are simply equal to I square R. The losses in the winding resistance is simply equal to the IS square R. And I know the magnitude of IS is 65.2. So this will be 65.2 square times 0.04. And I don't know the current in this branch, but I do know that the voltage here is still VP over A only. So I can simply use the fact that VP over A divided by, because we know that the formula for power are three formulas. Either I could use VI, either I could use I square R, or either I could use V square over R. So I use I square R for this case, where the current is known, and I know the voltage over here across this resistance. So I don't know the current in this branch, so I will use this formula. So what was the value of VP over A? We had calculated the value of VP over A for this case, 0.8 power factor lagging, and it was found in part C and C part number 1, I guess. Okay, let's look at the book. Where did I find the VP over A for the 0.8 power factor lagging? So it was leading unity power factor, and for the lagging case I had already found here VP over A. So VP over A for the lagging case is for the lagging case VP over A was this one, 234.85. Okay, so I will use this value 234.85. Let's go back to the whiteboard. Here's the whiteboard. Here's the whiteboard. 234 point something. So it is simply 234 point something square divided by the core resistance, which is 1050. Just find the answer for me quickly. Okay, so has anyone found the answer for me? 98%. This example, Yasir, this is example 2.5. 2.5 last part, same as before. Same what we were doing in Monday class. ठीक है? So basically this is the last part of that जो हम नहीं कर पाए थे उस दिन voltage regulation पे क्लास खत्म हो गई थी और पिछली क्लास में मैं किसी मीटिंग में बिजी था तो I had given you a practice problem. So has anyone found the efficiency? Someone found for me. I think Anam has found for me, and Anushka Sumro and also Amir Noor, and they found the value 98%. Okay, so let's check from the book. I haven't calculated it myself. The book says that for the last part, the efficiency is 98%. So I guess you are right. So the same formula applies, what we have done. Okay, apparent power cos theta is the power output. So you put the power output here, and these are the winding losses, and these are the core losses that you have calculated using the formulas that I have already mentioned. So this was the last part related to the single phase transformers. Now I'm going to briefly discuss three-phase transformers with you. And before we discuss three-phase transformers with you, I want to discuss a formula. Okay, so for the topic of single-phase transformers, we are done pretty much. And now we are going to just discuss how if someone gives you a similar question, but he gives you a three-phase transformer. Because most of the time, like in your homes, when you are getting from your PMT, you are getting the output connections from your PNT, you usually get a three-phase connection. So you have a neutral wire, and you have a first phase, and you have a second phase, and you have a third phase. So you have a three-phase supply coming to your home, which obviously means that the PMT will be having a three-phase transformer and not a single-phase transformer. Okay, so you basically get three live wires and a single neutral wire. So the PMT must be having a three-phase transformer. And what is the difference between the phases when you are getting the electricity from any generating station? So you basically get three sinusoidal waves, all of which are identical, but they have some phase shift. And what is the phase shift? The phase shift must be how much? How much should be the phase shift? Let's pick a different thing. Okay, so this is your first phase, second phase, third phase. So the phase difference between them is 120 degrees, because these windings that are producing these voltages on a generator, they are definitely they are wound on some axle, and in order to geometrically balance the axle, all of them should have a spatial angular separation of 120. So you have three sets of coils, not one set of coil. And in order to balance the rotating machine, they should be geometrically placed equally apart. So they are all, the three windings are placed 120 degrees apart. And when one winding reaches its peak, the other windings are not reaching their peak at that time. Okay. So when the other winding reaches its peak, the first winding is not at its peak. So they basically have a phase difference of 120 degrees. Otherwise, they are identical. They are all 50 hertz, and whatever they have peak value for their voltage, that peak value is also same. So the time period, frequency, and the peak value of voltage is same. The only difference is they reach their peak at different times, and they are spatially 120 degrees apart. So these sort of a three-phase supplies are going into the transformer, and you are also getting a three-phase supply in the output of the transformer. So now we want to be able to test three-phase transformers also. Okay, so we already know like 60 degrees. Okay, Saif, I've already told you that if they're angular, because you know that in a circle, the total angle is 360 degrees. So suppose if you were to wind them at a difference of 60 degrees, the three windings, so you would only be covering 120 degrees. Okay, first phase, second phase, and third phase. So you would only be covering 120 degrees. And if the windings are placed like this, and you are, for example, trying to rotate this machine would not be uh, rotating in a balanced manner. It would destroy maybe the bearings that are used on the axle. So this is similar to the case of a car wheel. So if you have you notice some car wheel or a bus wheel, you always note that if this is the tire of the wheel and this is the steel rim of the wheel, so always the design of these wheels are very symmetric. For example, if this is a car, the angle between these two spokes are always equal, and they have to cover a total of 360 degrees. Same goes for a motorcycle, same goes for a bicycle. So you would never see a bicycle with a wheel having spokes like this, because uh, it would not be balanced mechanically. So in order to be balanced mechanically, the spokes of the wheel should be equidistant from each other in terms of the angle. So similarly, you cannot have a transformer in which you can have a separation of 60 degrees, then you don't have any coil for a total of 120 degrees, to 240 degrees. So you have to make them in a balanced manner and cover the total 360 degrees. So Saif, is your question clear? Okay, clear. Saif is happy. So let's move forward. So before we go into this, let's drive one formula. For my ENA students already know this formula, but still I will revise that for the other students that have joined the class. And that formula is, okay, so we have a three-phase supply, and we know that they are 120 degrees apart. So uh, when I represent my three-phase voltages in the form of a phasor, so let's say this is the first voltage which has a phase shift of 0 degrees. So let's call this V1. And since it is 0 degrees, it is horizontally to the right. When I calculate when I want to represent my second phase as a vector, so I will call it V2. And this one has a separation of 120 degrees. Sorry, it shouldn't be here. It should be here. V2 should be here. V2 is lagging the first phase by 120 degrees. So V2 is further away, and V3 is lagging V2 by 120 degrees. So it is oriented like this. Okay, so is everyone clear? V1 is leading and V2 is lagging because this one reaches its peak first and the second one reaches its peak later and the third one is still later. So V1 is leading V2 and V2 is leading V3 and V3 is lagging V2 and V2 is lagging V1. So whenever something is lagging, because we know that whole of this diagram is rotating in an anti-clockwise manner, the phasors are rotating. So V1 is leading V2 and V2 is leading V3. So the vector representation of the three voltages is like this. So now I always ask the students this question, that you are standing near the electricity box of your house. This is the first phase, this is the second phase, this is the third phase, and this is the neutral. And someone gives you a voltmeter and he says that put the red lead here and put the black lead over here. This is first phase, second phase, third phase, and this one is neutral. What is the reading you will get on the voltmeter? Quickly tell me on the chat window or someone on the mic. What will be the reading on the voltmeter? Quickly, quickly, quickly. So the reading will be 220 volt. Uh, where this 120 come? Okay, one student has written 120 volts. Anushka Sumro. Uh, and the rest all have written 220 volts. So why, Anushka, do you think that it will be 120 volt RMS? In Pakistan and in the subcontinent, we use 220 degrees, and 120 degrees is used in America. So they use different standards than us. So 120 degrees used in the US and Australia and Britain and Pakistan, we all use 220 volts. And that 220 volt is the RMS value. Okay, so that 220 volt is the RMS value, and the peak value is given by 220 into under root 2. Okay, this is the root mean square value, and if you want to find the peak value, that is 220 under root 2. And the derivation is very simple. You can find the derivation between the peak value and the RMS value. So it's very simple. They are just related by a factor of under root 2. So Vp is equal to under root 2 times Vrms. So, but that is not what I wanted to discuss. I wanted to discuss what happens if you put the voltmeter leads like this in one phase and in the other phase. What will be the answer? So my previous ENA students would already be knowing it, I hope. So what happens when you put one lead into one phase and the other lead into the other phase? What will happen then? Any answers on the chat window? No, Amir, you are not right. Asadullah, maybe you are right. 381.5. Okay, so how do we find when we put a voltage lead in the first phase and the second phase? So such a voltage we called when we put one lead over here and we put one lead over here, I am measuring the phase voltage, and the symbol for phase voltage is this. But when I put one lead over here and one lead over here, I am calculating the line voltage and I call it VL, and the value of VL is under root 3 times V phase. So it will be equal to under root 3 times uh, the phase voltage, and the phase voltage is, if you want to measure the RMS value of the line voltage, if you want to measure the RMS value of the line voltage, so it will be under root 3 times RMS value of the phase voltage, so it will be under root 3 times 220, and your meters are giving the RMS values. So this will be equal to something 300 and something. And how does this factor of under root 3 comes in? So whenever we are subtracting two vectors, because when we are finding the resultant of the two vectors, so we are subtracting. When we are finding the, for example, you have a voltage of 2 volts over here, and you have a voltage of 1.5 volt over here, and I put a voltmeter, what will be the voltmeter reading over here? What will be the voltmeter reading here? Can anybody tell me? If I have a 2 volt node here and a 1.5 volt node here, and I put a voltmeter on these two nodes, what will be the voltage? Can anybody tell me on the chat window? क्या होगा voltage? What will be the voltage between these 2 points? No one? So the voltage here will be 0.5 volts. 2 minus 1.5. So definitely we are going to subtract this one and this one. So we also have to subtract this one from this one when we are finding the voltage between those 2 points. So if I'm finding the voltage between the first phase and the second phase, so I will have to do V1 minus V2. So V1 is simply like this, but for V2 I have to take the opposite direction because I'm doing not V2 but minus V2. So minus V2 is in this direction. So this is minus V2. So I am adding minus V2 with V1. So minus V2 will go like this because I'm subtracting. This is V1, this is minus V2, and this will be the result that I will read on my voltmeter. So let's call this resultant as V line, VL. And how I can measure VL? Let me rub some useless stuff. So when I going to subtract the two vectors, the triangle looks like this, and I definitely know that this angle will be 120 degrees. Okay, so this angle is 120 degrees because if I slide it over here, if I slide this angle over here, I know that this angle is definitely equal to 60 degrees. If this angle is equal to 60 degrees, then this must definitely be 120 degrees. So now how I can find VL? I can find VL by the sine rule of the triangle. So VL over sine 120 is equal to V phase over, and if this angle is 120 and this side is equal, then this side should be equal to 30 and this side should be equal to 30 because the sum of angle in a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. So 120 plus 60 is indeed 180. So VL over sine 120 is equal to, and I already know the value of V phase is 220. So 220 over sine 30. Okay, so now I can find the RMS value of VL, the RMS value of VL, because I'm also taking the value of phase voltage. So I will get the VL RMS value. So this is equal to 220 and sine 30 is 0.5 and sine of 120. This is 120. And I know that in the first quadrant, all are positive. In the second quadrant, sine is positive. And sine of 120 will be equal the same as sine of 60, which is under root 3 over 2. So this thing is equal to under root 3 over 2, and uh, this 220 divided by under root 3 over 2 is correct, and 220 and this is divided by half. All right, so this is divided by half, or if I multiply 0.5 into 2, it is equal to 1. So the RMS value is simply equal to 220 under root 3. So whenever I want to find the line voltage is equal to the phase voltage. So the take home message is voltage is always equal to the phase voltage multiplied by under root 3. Is everyone okay with this? Because in the next derivation, we will make the use of this formula. Is everyone okay with this? Everyone understood this formula? Okay, everyone has understood this. So now let's move forward to our main business, which was studying the three-phase transformer. So let's clear these drawings, go back to the book. Book is over here. So we are not going to do this in very much detail. It is similar to a single phase transformer, but we need to just see what changes will happen if I take a three-phase transformer. Okay, so the three-phase transformer starts from section 2.10. So this is the topic of three-phase transformers. So we already know that the transformers that we are using in the real life, they are having three phases. So they are not single-phase transformers. And how do I connect them up? The first way is to use three independent transformers. Okay, we can use a three-phase transformer bank in which we use three separate cores and we do the winding separately on them. But this is not the case in real life that we use the three-phase transformers. In three-phase transformers, uh, this is also same three independent transformers, but this is not the way in real life. In the real life, we connect the transformers in a manner of Y-Y connection, or Y delta connection, or delta Y connection, or delta delta connection. What happens in the Y-Y connection? We take the three coils, we have three transformers. So we have three primary coils and we have three secondary coils. So we up like in the shape of a Y like this. So all the three phases coils are connected in a Y shape like this. This is the first phase of the primary winding, second phase of the primary winding, third phase of the primary winding. First phase of the secondary winding, second phase of the secondary winding, third phase of the secondary winding. And they are obviously connected through a core in between. And so this one is called the Y-Y connection. And what happens in a delta Y connection, Y delta connection, the primary is still in the shape of a Y, but the secondary is in the shape of a delta connection. So it is in the shape of a triangle. How do we hook this up? We hook this up like this. So again, we take the three coils of the secondary and we hook them up like this. Sorry. So this is the first coil. This is the second coil and this is the third coil. So they are hooked up in a shape of a triangle and this is called a delta. So whenever we have a Y connection, we call it YWYEY. And whenever we have a triangle connection, we call it a delta connection. So if I connect it in a Y delta, it looks like this. If I connected it in a delta Y configuration, the primary side will look like this and the secondary side will look like this. And if I connect it in a delta delta orientation, both the primary and the secondary side will look like a triangle orientation or a delta orientation. So let's look at the pictures in the book. So in a YY connection, the first one that I showed you, and it is also shown, I think here. Okay, so both the primary and the secondary windings are shaped in a Y, they are connected. And the only thing to note is whenever you have something like this and you want to calculate the turns ratio. So in a single phase transformer, what was the turns ratio equal to? It was simply equal to NP over NS, or it was VP over VS, or it was IS over IP. So this is for a one phase transformer. Now what happens in a three phase transformer? In a and this definition of A stays the same. This definition of A stays the same even for three phase transformers. But for a three phase transformer, whenever you are taking the turns ratio, this turns ratio will always be equal to the line voltage primary over the line voltage secondary. Okay, is everyone clear on this? So for a three phase transformer, the definition of A is a standard. It is equal to Vp over Vs, which was defined for a single phase. Okay, I also write it here. So this was defined for a phase ratio. This is not the line voltage, because this is a one phase transformer. So A is defined always as the phase voltage ratio, V primary voltage per phase, secondary voltage per phase. And whenever we are going to discuss three phase transformer, we have to consider this ratio for not for the phase voltage but for the line voltage. So this L stands for line voltage primary, line voltage secondary. What would happen in a YY voltage? In a YY voltage, whenever we have a YY connection, so this thing, the voltage across the coil is regarded as the phase voltage, and the voltage between the two phases is regarded as a line voltage. Similar for the secondary, the voltage between the two phases is regarded as a line voltage, and the voltage of a single phase is regarded as the phase voltage. So when I'm talking about a three phase transformer, I have to consider the ratio of the line voltages, not the phase voltages. And how is the line voltage related to the phase voltage? It is similar to what we did before. It is under root 3 times the phase voltage primary. This is under root 3 times the phase voltage secondary. So when we take the turns ratio, this under root 3 cuts, and we are left with just A. So when we are considering the turns ratio for a YY transformer, we consider the ratio of the line voltages, but it comes out to be equal to A, because A is defined as this ratio. And although we took the ratio of the line voltages, this under root 3 and this under root 3 got cancelled. So we are just left with A. So whenever we are going to do three phase transformer, we have to consider this A, and coincidentally, for a YY transformer, the turns ratio of due to the line voltage is also equal to A. Let's move forward. When we consider the Y delta connection, and in the Y delta connection, the primary side is hooked up like a Y, secondary side is hooked up like a delta. So the strange thing is, in a Y connection, we know that VL is under root 3 times V phase. Surprisingly, in a delta connection, the coils are connected between the phases. So the phase voltage is also measured across a coil, and it is equal to the line voltage only, because one side of the coil is connected to one phase, second side of the coil is connected to second phase. So VL is equal to V phase always in a delta, and this relationship holds for Y. So in your household, the connections are coming through a Y connection. From the PMT also, you are getting the connections through a Y connection, not never a delta connection. So this relationship holds. But for a delta connection, the phase voltage is equal to the line voltage, because the phase voltage is also measured across one coil, and the line voltage is also